Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Church of Evanston. I'm Robb Geiger, your worship associate today. Whether this is your spiritual home or you are newly discovering this community, it is good to share this time together. We strive to be an inclusive and welcoming community, seeking truth and love and nurturing the human spirit for a world made whole. We are guided by our principles and values, which remind us in every moment and through every challenge that each of us is worthy of love and that we are all connected through the vast and beautiful web of existence. We come together to remember our kinship with one another and to hold one another in heart and mind with tenderness and careful attention. If you are joining us online, there are many links of connection in the description below the YouTube live stream, including the order of service credits, ways to support our mission, and how to join our email newsletter list. If you are in the sanctuary, we encourage you to use the QR code for the digital order of service or to take one of the large print orders of service. Both are located on the table in the lobby. Hymnals are available right outside the sanctuary doors. We also have an inductive loop system for anyone wearing a hearing aid that is equipped with a T-coil. Your hearing aid should automatically connect if you enable the T-coil feature. For those who do not have a T-coil enabled hearing aid, we have receivers that can pick up the loop signal and you can listen through earphones. They are located on the table in the lobby. A few announcements. Some of you may be joining us for the first time today or did not know about today's flower communion. Though some have come without a flower, some have brought extra flowers. Please partake in this special ritual of flower communion regardless. The Board of Trustees has called a special meeting for next Sunday, June 11th at 11:45 a.m. to vote on the proposed changes to the bylaws regarding the Endowment Committee and Endowment Agreement. We need a quorum to vote, so please plan to attend. There will be cake and lemonade to sweeten the deal. Reverend Eileen invites you to join her and other Evanston clergy on Saturday, June 17th for the Evanston Juneteenth Parade and Celebration. The parade begins at 10:30 at Robert Crown and ends at the Civic Center for a celebration until 6 p.m. You could read more details in the newsletter. Then that evening, June 17th, join us at UCE for the Be Yourself Prom from 7 to 10 p.m. And now, let us settle into our shared time of reflection, celebration, and inspiration. As we begin our worship service, those joining us online are invited to gather your chalice as we join in beloved community. Welcome to worship.
Celebrate the
Unitarian Church of Evanston resides on land that was recorded as being transferred from the local Potawatomi community to the U.S. government in 1829, shortly before the Potawatomi in this area were forcefully removed west of the Mississippi River. This land was then sold to white settlers. We remember the minds and bodies of the black people who built up our country's culture and economy, a role forced on them originally by enslavement. We are indebted to their labor and their resilience since 1619, acknowledging the tremors of violence throughout the generations and the resulting impact that we still witness today. These acknowledgements are one small effort toward building long-term solidarity with contemporary communities. We commit ourselves to take what we learn here today and incorporate it into our lives and turn our thoughts into actions. Please join in our shared words of shared commitment. We name these realities with honor for all the ancestors, respect for our descendants, and gratitude for the land we use as sacred space. Janelle Britton brought the flowers in memory of her late husband, Michael Wynn. As she lights our chalice, symbol of our living tradition, please join in saying these words by the Reverend Susan Frederick-Gray. May we be mindful of how radical and powerful love is, and how dangerous those who use fear perceive love to be. May we know how necessary and essential it is to keep alive the message of universal love, of humanity and human dignity, of reverence for life, all creation in our hearts and in all our actions. We are now among the keepers of that flame. Please rise in body or spirit and join in saying the words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Before we sing our opening hymn, I invite those joining us online to greet each other in the chat, and those gathered in the sanctuary to turn to one another briefly to say good morning and try to greet someone who is new to you.
Uplifted, folks. Please remain standing if you are able. Before we sing our opening hymn again, I want to encourage everybody to, if you've brought your flowers and you haven't had a chance to bring them up, please feel free to bring them up at any time between now and the story, or alternatively, our helpers, Juliana and Finn, are able to come and get them from you if you'd like. But keep these conversations going that you started, and let's keep building kinship among us. Our opening hymn is number 8 in your hymnal, Mother Spirit, Father Spirit. The words are on the screen, and I just wanted to make a note that the last verse has some altered, non-gendered language.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks. It's such a beautiful day. Our time for all ages today is Norbert's Lasting Idea, which is adapted by Laurel Whitehouse. There we go. Nobert Capek was born in June of 1870. He grew up in troubled times in Europe, and during World War I, his safety was threatened because he spoke out against those who tried to restrict freedom of worship. So Nobert and his wife came to America, where Nobert discovered Unitarianism and became a Unitarian minister. And once the war ended, Reverend Nobert wanted to return to share his love of Unitarianism with the people of his country, which was now called Czechoslovakia. Yeah. He returned to the city of Prague in 1921 and started a brand new church, which grew steadily as more and more people came to listen to Reverend Norbert's sermons. Now, the war had left many miseries and a hard life for the people of Prague. Families had been broken up, businesses had been ruined, and many of his congregants didn't have enough money to meet their needs. Unitarianism was new to Czechoslovakia, and the worship service was unlike ours today. Get this, kids. There were no stories. Or music. And, there's more. The sermons were very, very long. Sorry, Eileen. The church building was plain and cold in the bitter winters, and yet still people came because they were eager for worship, spirituality, connection, and hope as they tried to rebuild their lives. Reverend Nobert knew that the people who came to hear his sermons were learning about Unitarianism and building a new faith together. But he also knew that the daily struggle continued. He knew the weariness of the troubles and sadness that they carried, and how his people yearned for a sense of connection and possibility. He went for a long walk along the river Vltava, which winds through Prague. And as he slowly crossed one of the many bridges over the river, he began to think about how to lift the spirits of his congregation. He wanted them to have hope. Reverend Nobert, saw a flower growing in the bare and scuffed earth near the edge of the river. The beauty and bravery of the little bloom lifted his spirits. He wanted to share that uplifted feeling with his congregation, but how? His church had no altar or gardens around it. Reverend Nobert thought and thought as he walked, but he just didn't have any ideas about how to share the feeling that the flower had given him. He came to a small child from his congregation who smiled at him and held out a flower for him to take. Reverend Nobert smiled back with a happy heart and realized in that moment how to spread the warm feeling with his church members. It was spring, and there were flowers growing everywhere in Prague, in the parks, along the Vltava River, even in the rubble still left from the war. Reverend Nobert spread the word to his congregation to bring a flower to worship service that next Sunday, and everyone did show up with a flower. There were stems of white daisy-like chamomile, yellow many-petaled leopard's bane, the bright pink rockets of cyclamen, plump yellow clusters of primroses, and fuzzy pink spires of hens and chicks, deep blue gentians, pinky purple pasque flower, and of course many roses, which is the national flower of Czechoslovakia. So on June 4th, 1923, 100 years ago today, that plain church was bursting with colorful clusters of flowers, each uniquely beautiful, short, tall, spiky, round, scented, vibrant. And the uniquely beautiful faces of the congregants were also bursting with smiles and warmth and hope as they felt the powerful forces of growth and possibility in the nature and in each other. Reverend Nobert Capek called that feeling the hidden cry for harmony with the infinite that each person feels inside. At the end of the service that day, when they chose a flower to take home, those seeds of hope and harmony and fellowship went with them and began to grow in their hearts and spirits. After Reverend Capek introduced the flower communion, actually he called it a flower ceremony, it was his wife Maya who brought it to the U.S. while on a tour to the first parish church in Cambridge in 1940. And around this time, the church in Prague became the largest Unitarian congregation in the world with 3,500 members. Unfortunately, World War II began, and Norbert and his daughter, Mila, were arrested and sent to Dachau, where he died in 1942. Today, we honor and give thanks to Norbert and Maya as we gaze upon the flowers on our common altar, remembering we are all individuals, but we are also people of a common faith. Let us remember the Capeks and their principles and dreams and carry forth the gifts of hope as we delight in this time.
I invite us now to settle into a time of quiet reflection as we share our joys and sorrows, which is part of our practice of beloved community. If you have a joy or sorrow that you would like read in a service, please write it in the book, send me an email, or fill out our Joys and Sorrows form on the homepage of our website. We listen to these offerings with tenderness and with respect. So let us quiet our bodies and voices during this sacred time by breathing in once together deeply and breathing out. These are the joys and sorrows that have been shared before the service today. From Kathy Underwood, a great joy that Todd and she celebrated their 38th wedding anniversary. Dealing with a broken car at the end of a wonderful trip to Utah, joy and sorrow woven fine, where we saw the beauty of Mother Nature at 5 national parks. We are blessed to be able to afford a vacation like this, a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Welcome home. Glad you made it safely. Jennifer Crosby is happy to share that John's surgery Thursday morning went very well. We look forward very much to his improved life from this, and we had a few recovery complications and not too much pushback from the hospital about releasing him too early. He came home Friday night, one hurdle down, just a few more to go, with hope that future surgical interventions can be made. Welcome, or happy homecoming, John, and feel better, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Janelle Britton mentions these beautiful yellow flowers are Janelle's. It's kind of, I didn't want those to get lost in the sea of beauty here. because of the anniversary of the passing of her beloved husband, Michael Wynn, who was the love of her life. He lived his motto that everyone deserves respect and kindness. He was an amazing role model. A few from our book, Joy, that Duncan Lewis celebrated his 7th birthday yesterday. He fills his family with joy as they watch him grow, and his curious personality and love of nature is wonderful. Happy birthday, Duncan. Kristen Lems, I see your email, but I did not get the email about your grandson. And anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't get it. Can you write it down and we can do it next week? Is that okay? I'm sorry. Yeah. A joy today from the Lawrence family. We celebrate Sydney's 12th birthday. We are lots of birthdays today. Yay. We are so blessed to be her parents and are continuously grateful for her kindness, wit, creativity, and fun-loving spirit. We love you so much, Sydney. Happy birthday. And 2 more. Forrest Marie Peters Linzel shares this joy, and there's an image to go with it, with these words: "My rose has opened, my fear has burned away. My soul has unfurled its wings. My rose has opened." And by her mother, Christine Peters, 30 years ago today, Forrest Marie Peters Linzel was dedicated during Flower Communion Sunday, and now she is rededicated as a member of UCE's Board of Trustees, and additionally, yes, that is good news. That's good news. Additionally, Christine writes, "I am so grateful for Forrest Marie's remarkable surgery and her medical team of angels. It has been miraculous. We appreciate all your loving kindness and ask for your continued healing energy as she has a relatively minor surgery on Monday and continues to convalesce at home with Mama Bear." Big love to all. This sacred space for our tender offerings is part of the practice of beloved community. Together we expand our celebrations and we lessen the burden of our grief. As we gather together in congregational community, we covenant with one another, regardless of age, personality, race, spiritual beliefs. We take each other where we are, as we are, with all the unique gifts each brings. We are also in need of receiving love and care. The gifts we give come back to us in unexpected and glorious ways. The magnificent bouquet before us is a symbol of the beauty and uniqueness of every living soul, made more glorious by our companionship, our collective aspirations, and by simply being present to one another. So let us pause in this moment to consecrate these flowers, which affirm life's magnificence. Let us bless this bouquet with our attention. Take in the beauty before us, and let us be grateful. Breathe in and breathe out. Today, we're going to combine our candle lighting and our flower communion. So as you come forward to receive a flower in a minute, you may also stop to light a candle at one of these small tables on the side in honor of your joys and sorrows. You can come forward from the sides or any of the aisles or the center. And if you would like a candle or a flower brought to you, our helpers, Juliana and Finn, will just raise your hand and they'll bring you a flower or a candle. As you choose a flower, I invite you to not be too precious about your choice. Let it choose you. May it remind you to be curious about gifts that come from strangers and friends alike. Sometimes the greatest gifts come in the most unexpected packages. May the possibilities generated by being in an inclusive community move with us out into the waiting world as a blessing. And finally, I invite you to notice the beautiful paper flowers that many hands made. They're sort of lining the outside. There are 100 here in honor of the 100 years that we have celebrated flower communion as a faith. And feel free to take a paper flower in addition to or instead of a cut flower if you'd like. I invite you now to please come forward in gratitude, love, and joy. You may or may have not noticed the flowers that we're sort of cycling through as well are photos from our community of their gardens. Just wanted to draw your attention there. So let us join in our words that we say after joys and sorrows are shared. For these joys we give our thanks, and for these sorrows we give our love. We use flowers to help us symbolize the gifts that are hidden deep inside us. We have shared our flowers and our love to brighten our church and make our hearts glad, just as was done in Czechoslovakia 100 years ago. I invite you now to gaze upon the flower that has chosen you, to fully take in its beauty, and if it has one, a fragrance. For a moment, I invite you to get lost in the ephemeral blessing of this treasure from the earth. Notice its uniqueness, its inner workings. And join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, bless us. Remind us that we meet in fellowship and in love. Even though we are all different, each of us is unique. We gather as one in love. Remind us that we gather to serve that hopeful promise of beloved community. May we center on these words written by Reverend Nobert Capek all those years ago. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessing on these, thy messengers of kinship and love. May they remind us, amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts, to be one in desire and affection and devotion to thy holy will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of thy most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do thy work in this world. Amen, and blessed be.
I know
As we say in our covenant each Sunday, service is our law. UCE is called by our mission, values, and principles to contribute to our community, to form accountable partnerships, and to express gratitude through giving. Today's offering will be shared with Deborah's Place, which is the lead agency in Chicago ending the experience of homelessness for single women in Chicago. Jean Durkin will answer any of your questions at the back table at the end of our service. There's Jean right there. Jean wanted to thank you for your generosity by giving you the gift of hearing from some of the women who she sees every day.
So I was in the streets for 25 years. 25 years on the street, just messed up mentally.
I was homeless for 5 years, moving from shelter to shelter within 2 cities.
Living in the park.
I was in another shelter.
I was staying with somebody who put me out.
Millennium Park. I was out there for 2.5 years. I did have a job, so it was hard, staying clean and getting to work and finding a spot at night to sleep. Home means having your own place to live.
Home to me would be somewhere where I feel like peace and privacy, where I can be vulnerable.
A place where I'm safe, quiet, safe dwelling. And I have an apartment, I have a roof.
Secured shelter.
Coming here, coming home, getting off work.
Kindness.
Walking in here, being able to take a shower, lay down in my love. So it's the warm feeling.
Where I don't feel like I have to put my guard up. I
My
can
own
just be me.
space.
Home is like, a roof over your head.
Love.
Just time.
Home means having your own place to live.
It's peaceful.
You can kind of just think and unwind and
Actually love you and take care of you. That's what this place provides for me, the people too.
And he opened the door for me. There was a full-size bed, new linen, new comforter, pillows. I had a table. My table was set with dishes. I could have just cried. And it was the most beautiful thing that anyone ever done for me. Most beautiful thing.
It has been a blessing.
Definitely pays me.
Refuge.
Home,
That place is heaven.
love,
Generous.
and safe.
Kind of like a
Comforting.
sisterhood.
Been a blessing for me. Home.
This is my first time ever just really standing on my own 2 feet.
Deborah's Place is a safe haven.
Even though I have all this stuff happen to me, I don't feel afraid anymore. I don't wake up with nightmares no more.
That kind
And warmth. Really happy.
Deborah's Place
It's a place where you can learn and grow and stand on your own 2 feet.
is surprising.
Without this place, I probably wouldn't be alive today. I don't know what else I could say about this place. It's just been home.
First place is a place to grow.
You may text to give, mail in a check, or give from our website. If you write a check, please indicate in the memo line if your check is for the shared offering or some other giving. The ushers will now come forward to pass the collection bowls down the rows. Please give as generously as you are able, and may what you give bring you joy.
Les lions en fleurs, j'étais des
Rob, you going to be able to do this reading or no? Because I don't know if I could do it after that, but it's your turn. You got it? You got it? Breathe, yeah? Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. These are the words of Lynn Unger. What a gathering, the purple tongues of the iris licking out at spikes of lupine, the orange crepe skirts of poppies lifting over buttercup and daisy. Who can be grim in the face of such abundance? There's nothing to compare, no need for beauty to compete. The voluptuous rhododendron and the plain grass are equally filled with themselves, equally declare the miracles of color and form. This is what community looks like. This vibrant jostle, stem by stem, declaring the marvelous joining. This is the face of communion, the incarnation once more gracefully resurrected from winter. Hold these things together in your sight. Purple, crimson, magenta, blue. You will be feasting on this long after the flowers are gone.
Hard to know where to go from there. Really feels kind of anticlimactic. I mean, I do have some things to say, but bear with me, it won't be long. I just want to thank you all so much. What a beautiful Sunday. Kylie and Jen. My goodness. Ugh. Transported, I would say. During this resplendent spring, part of my spiritual practice has been to make a conscious effort every time I see a lilac bush or pink peony or a purple iris to stop and stick my nose right in it and take in 3 deep breaths. I do this as a way of drinking in the moment of beauty and joy. And this spring has offered me plenty of opportunities for this practice. The perennial garden in my front yard, which I've been cultivating for years now, has exploded in full glory. And the other morning I opened my front door to a single iris bud I've been just waiting and watching for. It had just popped open to greet me. It was magnificent. I want to let these fleeting experiences soak in so that I can call them up to sustain me during the long winter months. How ephemeral and transient are these gorgeous beings that brighten our days. The flowers of spring are a reminder that all of life is temporary and each moment is a precious gift. They also remind us of the beauty of diversity, the magic of the collective. Notice how a deep purple flower, next to a contrasting bright yellow makes each one more vibrant and lovely. Our anthem this morning, Dilettante, based on a poem by Rainer Maria Rilke, reflects on the beauty of the rose and the myth of Narcissus. As they say, Narcissus is so drawn by the beauty of his own reflection that he can't look away. He forsakes all else and starves to death on the spot while staring down at his own image in the water, and in his place, the beautiful Narcissus rose blooms. It is a cautionary tale about self-centeredness and vanity, but Rilke wonders if the ephemeral beauty of the rose that blooms there offers the possibility of another truth in the Narcissus tale. Now, I'm not advocating that we devolve into narcissism or focus too much on our own value and worth, but I'm going to bet that every single one of us here is in greater danger of undervaluing ourselves and short-selling those fleeting moments when the earth offers us an invitation to pause and relish the present. Evolutionarily, we humans are drawn more toward negativity and self-doubt, and we're much, much less likely to let ourselves get lost in the joy of simply being alive. It might seem selfish to hold on to moments of joy when there are so many reasons to be worried. It may seem self-absorbed to spend time reflecting on ourselves with compassion and love, or narcissistic to linger in moments of beauty, but in reality, our brains are hardwired to do the opposite. Our brains have evolved to look for danger around every corner. It's what's kept us alive, and to hold on to the negative, and are much less likely to get lost in beauty and joy. In the book Hardwiring Happiness, neuropsychologist Rick Hansen talks about our brains being like Velcro, sticky, for negativity, fear, worry, and anxiety, and like Teflon for the positive, the feelings of happiness, peace, and contentment. But the good news is that our brains remain moldable throughout our life. Our minds are capable of being reshaped, and one way to reshape them is to hold on to the moments of joy that do come our way, no matter how small, seemingly insignificant, or fleeting, by taking in 3 deep breaths when they come. It is possible to retrain the brain to let go of the negative a little more easily and retain the feelings of peace and contentment a little while longer. None of that is to say that bad things don't or won't continue to happen. Of course they will. Our faith calls us to be attentive and responsive to the pain and injustice that is always also present in the world, and to continue to work towards shared liberation. And resting on beauty just a bit longer can better enable us to move through the challenges of our lives with more resilience, kindness, and creativity. Do not fear getting lost in your reflection, or that you might gaze too long upon beauty. Let these feed your soul and nourish you for the journey of community and the work of the world ahead. This beautiful ritual we took part in today, created and shared by the Capeks so many years ago, reminds us to trust that through the times of shadow and hardship, through the longest winter, spring will come again. The flowers that fade will return. Through our most challenging times, we can savor what is good, because there is always also some good, some beauty, joy, and companionship to be found. And it reminds us that we are more lovely and strong and hardy together in kinship and community. In our tradition, we celebrate the gifts of our ancestors, and we strive to remain open always to new understanding. Let us be grateful for 100 years of this tradition in our ever-expanding and progressive faith. May we, like the Capeks, dedicate ourselves to remaining open to one another's diverse theological viewpoints, to welcome all who might find a place among our varied and beautiful garden of relations. In the words of Reverend Capek, may we be strengthened knowing that we are one family, that one spirit, the spirit of love, unites us, and endeavor for a more perfect and more joyful life. Amen.
As we extinguish the chalice, please join in saying the words on the screen by the Reverend Elizabeth Sell Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth.
May the love that makes life beautiful, the reverence that makes life holy, and the truth that makes us free lead us onward together into a deepening and growing communion of life. Amen and blessed be. Go making picnic.